A company that got more than $100 million in federal grants to install electric car chargers is now bankrupt.
And the work they plan to do in Oregon is only half finished. Newswatch 12 Stephen Sandberg investigated how that company went under and what it'll mean for the e-vehicle industry in the state.
Well, here in Southern Oregon, it was just a couple years ago that we saw Governor Ted Kulongoski say the work of ECOtality would be a boom for e-vehicles in Southern Oregon. The company got more than $100 million in stimulus money. But for all that, the company saw technology glitches, financing issues, and has now gone bankrupt. The best laid plans. 3 years ago, ECOtality was awarded $114 million in stimulus money from the U.S. Department of Energy. The company would use it in the EV project to install thousands of Blink Network electric vehicle charging stations across the West Coast, including Oregon. 3 years later, the money was spent, the work was incomplete, and the company was out of business.
That's obviously disappointing.
Mike Montero was with Rogue Valley Clean Cities, which worked with ECOtality to push EV technology in Southern Oregon. He was caught by surprise when ECOtality declared bankruptcy in September.
Having a company with expertise in developing that alternative fuel infrastructure go out of business, for obvious reasons, yeah, that's a concern.
In 2010, ECOtality partnered with Rogue Valley Clean Cities and Pacific Power and said it would install 1,100 public charging stations in Oregon. Today, there's only 477. 20 stations were supposed to be in the Rogue Valley. Instead, there's just 7. 2 in an Ashland lot, 2 in an Ashland parking garage, and 3 at Providence Hospital in Medford.
At least it calls into question whether or not that's the proper investment of public funds.
ECOtality now owes millions of dollars back to the Energy Department, and it leaves the communities that invested in that work in the middle.
The city of Ashland splits the profits of the e-vehicle chargers with ECOtality, but it hasn't been a moneymaker. In the past year, it's only made the city about $160.
It's intermittent, not a huge, consistent usage pattern.
Now, Ashland will have to decide whether to work with a different EV company or get rid of the existing chargers.
The worst case scenario for the city is we have all the infrastructure in place for a different vendor to come in and propose installation of units, and we have the service panels already set, the pedestals are already ready to go, so we're kind of stubbed out and ready.
They are a big player, but they're one of many players, so there's a lot of other different manufacturers out there that are in this space.
ODOT has worked with other companies to electrify Interstate 5 and will have 43 fast charging stations in Oregon by next summer. They don't want one company's failure to derail the entire EV push in Oregon.
Are wanting to make sure that the network remains reliable for the EV drivers that have come to rely on it.
But electric vehicles in Oregon have gone through a bumpy road before, and some are confident it will stay on its course.
It's an industry in change. And as it matures and as the market accepts that new technology and as the range is increased in those vehicles, I think they'll be more popular.
ECOtality has since sold all of its assets, including the EV project, to a company called the Car Charging Group. That company already operates more than 13,000 stations across the country.
So we're out $110 million because you said they're going to pay back about $4 million to the government. So $110 million, and we're making less than $160 a year back on the profits for the city.
Less than $160 a year for the city of Ashland specifically. They've had the car chargers in place for about a year's time, and that's all they've been able to raise from it so far. They split the profits.
So we know that it's a bad economic deal. What about the chargers that are already in place?
Well, the chargers are actually in place. They're in the ground. The infrastructure is there. So the city of Ashland said they could have another company come in and begin using those chargers, or they could just take them out and just abandon the project altogether. They're still trying to figure out what they want to do at this point.